Now this question says that again there are 5 sentences given to us, and 4 of them can be arranged to form a coherent paragraph. We have to pick the one that does not fit into the sequence, right? So let's start now. Statement 1 says neuroscientists have just begun studying exercise's impact within the brain cells on the genes themselves. Now, neuroscientists have begun studying exercise's impact where? Within the brain cells, on the genes themselves. Now, neuroscientists, they refers to neuroscientists, right? They refers to where they play pivotal roles. Now, it turns out that moving our muscles produces proteins that travel through the bloodstream and into the brain where they play. So it turns out that, now this it turns out that should be basically a revelation, a result of something, and it's a discovery. It turns out that moving our muscles produces proteins. So it turns out that should basically follow a study or some kind of discovery. So this cannot be the opening sentence, and 2 also cannot be the opening sentence. In today's technology-driven plasma screened in world, it is easy to forget that we are born movers animals. In fact, because we have engineered movement right out of our lives. Not quite convincing. Looks like an opening sentence, but I feel that out of all the 4 sentences, if there is any which is not connected with any of them, it is statement number 4. It is only in the past few years that neuroscientists, so we have neuroscientists here, we have neuroscientists here, we have they who refer, that which refers to neuroscientists. So you get a feeling that only 3 or 4 could be the odd one out. Now let's try to read and see what exact. So which sentence can be the opening sentence? It can be 1, it can be 4, it can be 5. It is only in the past few years that neuroscientists have begun to describe these factors. Now we don't know what factors are, so even 5 cannot be the opening sentence. Either it can be 1 or it can be 4. 1 says neuroscientists have just begun studying the exercise's impact within brain cells. Even there, where exactly are you referring to? Where is this place here? There is a place, and there is this place. It is basically the brain cells. So 1 and 2 is basically a connection. Neuroscientists have just begun studying exercise's impact within the brain cells. Even there, in the roots of our biology, they have found signs of the body's influence on the mind. So basically, neuroscientists have just begun studying exercise's impact within the brain cells on the genes themselves, and even there in the roots of our biology. So basically, the roots of our biology is the DNA, the genes. Are you getting this point, people? So even there in the roots of our biology, so there is a place where which we can say are the roots of our biology. Now where is the roots of our biology? It is not in the brain cells. Initially I made a mistake by saying it's the brain cell. It is basically the genes. So you start with 1, saying that neuroscientists have just begun studying exercise's impacts within brain cells on the genes themselves. Even there, that is the genes, in the roots of our biology, which is nothing but the genes, they have found signs of the body's influence on the mind. It turns out that moving our muscles. Now, what is moving our muscles basically? It is the exercising. It turns out that moving our muscles produces proteins that travel through the bloodstream and into the brain, where they play pivotal roles in the mechanisms of our highest thought processes. It is only in the past few years that neuroscientists have begun to describe these factors and how they work, and each new discovery adds awe-inspiring depth to the picture. Now, you will find that 1, 2, 3, and 5 are related, because they all speak about one idea, and that is the exercise's impact on the brain cells, on the genes themselves. And that's why 4 becomes the odd one out, because it says that we are born movers because we have engineered movement right out of our lives. Now this movement cannot be equated with exercising. It says neuroscientists have just begun studying exercise's impact within the brain cells on the genes themselves. Everywhere in the root, even there, that is the genes, in the roots of our biology, they have found signs of the body's influence on the mind. It turns out that moving our muscles produces proteins that travel through the bloodstream and into the brain. So again, influence on the mind, into the brain, where they play pivotal roles in the mechanisms of our highest thought processes. It is only in the past few years that neuroscientists have begun to describe these factors and how they work. And each new discovery adds awe-inspiring depth to the picture. So neuroscientists have begun to describe these factors. What kind of factors? The pivotal roles in the mechanisms of our highest thought processes. So 1, 2, 3 and 5 are connected. 4 is the odd one out.